live on the Pure West Radio Facebook page right now, and we're on DAB, digital radio across Pembrokeshire, and it is good to have you with us tonight. And coming up between now and 9, we have Haverfordwest powerlifter Mel Rawsthorne joining us for a chat live. She competed for Wales for the first time recently and set a new Welsh deadlifting record. Really looking forward to talking to Mel in part 2 of this evening's show. First up, we'll round up all of the Senior Cup football action from the round 2 matches that were played at the weekend. We'll also a bit later go through some of Saturday's rugby, and we'll talk about new FAW rules for junior football across Wales and how that might impact here in Pembrokeshire. That's all on the way with Fraser and Gordon joining me this evening. Fraser first, good to have you back. How are you?
I've had better weekends from a sporting point of view.
So have I, in fairness.
Yes. So to my relief, I was not covering football for work on the weekend. I was in work. I was actually put on the Australian Open, which was quite ironic because by Saturday afternoon, I wouldn't have minded being in the Australian Outback, actually, on my own, away from everything. But no, a harrowing Saturday lunchtime, that's for sure.
Yeah, a South Wales derby that, well, it probably went as bad as it could go, really, phrased in the end, didn't it?
It did. It was a very, very poor second half performance.
Don't keep on about it, Ben.
A thoroughly deserved win for Cardiff.
Tell you what, Gord, we'll talk about Man United, shall we, instead?
Yeah, it gets better, or shall I say it gets worse?
Yeah. How are you? Are you okay, Gord?
Yeah, very good, Ben. And you?
Yes, not bad at all. I mean,
have you got any Everton mints with you, or are you not?
I mean, the only thing I can take any solitude from really was the fact that Arsenal threw away a 2-0 lead at home to Aston Villa on Saturday, but I'm clutching at straws. In fact, all three of us have had a particularly bad weekend.
That Man United are actually above Spurs, Fraser. Can you believe that? In the table, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, most of the Premier League is, Gord. Most of the Premier League is above Spurs at the moment. Let's be fair.
Is he going to last, though, Ben? Is he going or is he staying?
I've spent most of my day expecting a breaking news that Postecoglou's been sacked. I half wondered if Amorim might be as well, but
that would be
it hasn't happened.
Season. That's something different, isn't it?
I think Postecoglou will still be Tottenham manager on Thursday when we play Hoffenheim away. What happens after that, I don't know. Hoffenheim and then Leicester. I mean, those two were to go badly. I just can't see how he survives up to the Liverpool semi-final second leg, but he's still there at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Fraser? Have you got any intel for me?
I haven't got any intel, certainly. We haven't had any head up that he is going to be sacked. It doesn't seem to be imminent, but I think popular opinion is the Liverpool semi-final could be critical if he is still there. Then so that could make or break your season at this rate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's leave that for now, shall we? And let's get into the local football. And it was round 2 of the Senior Cup in Pembrokeshire at the weekend. Gord, where did you head to on Saturday?
I actually went up the Obs to watch Hakin play Kilgetty, and it was a tough battle for first 45 minutes, to be honest with you, man. Fair play to Kilgetty. They mixed it. Let's say they mixed it a bit, and they made it quite difficult for Hakin. Second half, Hakin came good. They scored 3 goals. And there was a familiar face came out of the dugout, Fraser. Ashley Bevan. Ashley Bevan played brilliantly. Ex-Haverfordwest County as well. And fair play, he looks in fine fettle. He looks fit. He'll be a fine acquisition for the rest of the season. So Alfie Stotter came on for him and scored again. So, Hakin went through, and I think they go to... Where's that place down by the sea, Phrase? Is it Goodwick? Yeah, they got Goodwick in the quarter-final.
Oh, okay.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. Now, listen, last week on the show, it was Gordon and I, Phrase, and we did say there will be an upset in round 2 of the Senior Cup. Now, I said, could it come at Tenby? Just because Fishguard have been in good form. It didn't, did it? Tenby won very convincingly 5-1. And I suppose the other thing I have said, and maybe we're sitting on the fence a bit here, but we have also said Tenby are a very good cup side, so we're covered both ways there. But that was a convincing win for them against an informed Fishguard, albeit from a lower division, right?
Yeah. I think you thought Fishguard would have caused them a few problems, but they put them away very convincingly. But I know where this is going, where the one upset did come, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to Leicester. It's probably the one that none of us really wanted to see in many respects. So Branson having such a harrowing season, done well to keep going, and I mean that kudos there to Lee Galdo and the coaches and the players that have stayed. Others haven't, but the players that have stayed to see it through. But you just wanted a little bit of perhaps joy or positivity for them, didn't you? And a home tie against Division 3 side you thought would bring that. And, Leicester aren't even a side who's in the Division 3 promotion race either. We should note that. And to go to Hirby and win 3-1, it's just just another hammer blow for them. And I don't mean this disrespect to Leicester, and I like seeing cup upsets, but I was sorry to see that in many respects. I have to say that.
Yeah, we did say it could happen, Gordon, didn't we? And I think we do have to say well done to Leicester, seriously, because they have gone to a top division side, albeit one that are struggling in that division. And I think, Gordon, as well, losing does become a habit, unfortunately, doesn't it? And Leicester will have cashed in on that.
Yeah, definitely. And Fraser touched on it. Lee Galdo stuck there as manager and coach, and he's had a very difficult job. And he's done a good job to keep them all together. We've seen it before, Fraser and I, when teams have been under that so much pressure, they end up, pulling out of the league and then starting from scratch again from Division 5. But they are the type of character who will go through this mill. They'll go into Division 2. Hopefully, they'll galvanise in a few seasons' time, and they'll bounce back. That's football for you, isn't it?
Yeah, well done, Letterston, as well there. Carew nil, Goodwick 2, and Penna Robbins 5, Pembroke Borough 1 were the other two games in round 2 from the weekend. So no surprises with either of those two chaps, both the sides going through that we probably would have expected there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Penna got rid of their noisy lower division neighbours, Pembroke Borough. Jack Jones claimed a cracking hat-trick. So, they've gone through quite comfortably into the quarterfinals.
And Fraser, 3 games in round 2 coming up this weekend. Camrose v Clarbeston Road, Loreni against St Ishmael's, and Milford United versus Prendergast Villa. Any games there that jump out at you to keep an eye on this time around?
I expect Milford United to go through quite comfortably, and St Ishmael's as well, actually. Loreni, although a Division 2 side, it looks like a banana skin, but Loreni have been in very poor form this season at the moment, odds on to go down from Division 2. The one where it could be interesting is Camrose Clarbeston Road. Camrose were up in the promotion race, have tailed off a bit, but are at home and a tricky side. They've got a few players, a lot of Division 1 experience there, actually. And Clarbeston Road not in the best form at the moment. Lost to Milford United actually on Saturday, which is a crucial result at the bottom end of the table. Actually puts Tish back in the relegation zone. They were climbing out of it, so that was a significant result into the table as well. But I expect Clarby to get through it. But I think if there is going to be, a tricky tie for one of the Division 1 clubs on Saturday, it will be them. But of course, I don't mean that disrespectfully for Gord, because Milford host his old boys Prendergast Villa. So you never know, Gord.
Fraser, I'm not one to speculate, but Prendergast Villa will definitely be up for that game against the Robins. And with somebody in the former Joe John is still going and still banging them in the lower divisions.
Yes,
they can't give him too much room because he will. Matthew Davis playing for him as well. They got a few old heads with a few youngsters. Proper giant killing act will come again for the Robins. Watch out, Andrew Burgoyne. The boys are coming for you.
Yeah, we're winning in 2013, of course, as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We will see with those final matches in round 2 being played at the weekend. As you just said, 2 games in Division 1, Milford United 2, Clarbeston Road 1, and St Ishmael's 1, Moncton Swifts 2 were the 2 games that were played in the First Division at the weekend. We're going to move on in just a sec to talk about some new rules coming in which will impact junior football across Wales. So we'll have a chat about that. Just a quick mention as well for Haverfordwest County, because the second round of matches kick off phase 2 of the Cymru Premier League. Those fixtures came out actually I think over the weekend, didn't they? And it's Barla first
today,
up.
Actually,
was it today? Good, yeah. Barla, isn't it? On Saturday, 2:30 start. And actually, they've had a really good start to life back at the Oggy Bridge Meadow Stadium. So that's a good fixture, isn't it, to kick off phase 2?
Definitely, there was a bit of controversy, obviously, with Barry thinking they'd had the 6th place, but Fogg had enlightened Connors Key in the Bala game, so that had to be replayed, and Bala won it. And Barry have gone into 7th place, so they're in the bottom 6. So Haverfordwest are riding high, third in the division. They'll fancy their chances against Ballard at home. Tony Pennock knows that team very well, and tactically they'll be fresh. They'll be rearing to go, and let's hope the Bluebirds can pick up 3 points. It's important to get a good start because there's only 10 games of the season to go.
And guaranteed, I think, at least a semi-final spot, aren't they, in terms of a European playoff? So looking to finish as high up the table as they can, but that I think will be the minimum for the Bluebirds, which is good. So it will be an exciting phase 2. And actually, Fraser, they've really enjoyed.
They're going to go on and win the title, Ben.
Well, you never know. You never know. So can anyone stop TNS or Penybon? It could be Haverfordwest, couldn't it?
It could be. Let's be positive about things. They're in the mix.
They are, and they've loved Fraser. They've loved life back at the Bridge Meadow as well, haven't they? These first couple of games really well supported, good crowds, and good results with plenty of goals too. Yeah. Okay.
Speaking to you, Fraser. Are you?
Sorry, just lost it. Just lost the feed for a quick moment there, boys. Sorry, but I got the gist of it.
Okay, 2:30 kick-off on Saturday at the Oggy Bridge Meadow. Let's go to Fraser because you highlighted for us, Fraser, some of the changes to junior football rules that are coming in with the FAW, and this will have an impact in Pembrokeshire. And I read this with interest, and one of the rules is the power play rule, which would allow teams to actually substitute players on if they were losing by more than a 4-goal margin. This is from under 6 through to under 11. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your understanding of that particular rule, and how might that impact in Pembrokeshire football, do you think?
I don't think my view is going to be popular, Ben. And look, before anyone chimes in, it goes without saying, you don't want one-sided contests in minis football, junior football. You don't want a win at all costs attitude. I'm not saying that for a moment. You want competitive, even games. But we just seem to be going too far now, I think, in almost protecting youngsters against losing. You know, it's me and myself and Gordon were at the Western Telegraph, I think, when the rule came through that you could no longer print junior scores and results in the paper because they no longer officially posted through results. I remember growing up as a kid, you'd get the Telegraph on a Wednesday excited. It was if you'd scored because your name was in the paper. You know, it lit you up if you were a young child. It can be really positive for them. And you know, look, somewhere along the lines in sport, children have got to realise there is winning and losing. You know, it can be a tough industry like anything else. And we're at risk now. These kids getting to secondary school, never having tasted disappointment, you know. So when they do get genuine disappointment and they do lose games and things don't go their way in secondary school, they have tough defeats and whatever, how are they going to be able to handle it? So, you know, I understand the principle of wanting close competitive games at all levels of football, but somewhere, and this doesn't just apply to sport, it applies to life, you've got to be able to handle adversity as well. And, you know, I grew up in a St. David's rugby team, often struggled at junior level. We took plenty of hidings, you know, I did senior level at times as well. And I think it actually helped me. It helped in terms of character sometimes as well. So I'm not a fan of this initiative. I think we're going too far.
And actually, Gordon, the other bit to it as well is that if the goal difference then, if it was to go to a margin of 6, you can bring on another player. So there's effectively a maximum of 2 players additionally will be added. If that then changes, those players get taken off. Again, it's for like managers and coaches and referees, it becomes a bit of a counting exercise as well, doesn't it? To make sure there's enough players on the pitch. And when you're talking about volunteers coaching and reffing at that level, it feels a bit complicated to me. What do you think, Gord?
I'll say it. It's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. Young kids going out to enjoy a game of football on a Saturday morning and then pulling players on and off. They're there to enjoy the game and pick up the basics of the game. And as Fraser pointed out, you can't win every game. You've got to get used to losing as well. You've got to accept that. That's part of life. It's one of life's skills that you're not going to get everything your own way. And it's the same on a football pitch, same on a rugby pitch, same on a hockey pitch. Doesn't matter what pitch you're playing on. You're competing against each other. As long as you play with a lot of, you know, sportsmanship and all that comes into it. Yeah, and it's gone ridiculous, absolute ridiculous. I just would throw it out. I'd forget. I remember coaching. I'll give you an example. I remember coaching Haverfordwest at under 14 level against Langham. Port of Langham were a poor side, all right? And I had them in the changing room, knowing that my boys are going to hammer that side next door. I had a word with their coach, who happened to be Ian Ace at the time.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to throw this one up. What do you mean? I said, half of my boys are going to play for you, and we're going to have half of them. We're going to even this game out. Yeah, okay, I'm all for that. The boys that I sent into the Langham changing room weren't happy with me at all. But I tell you what, they had an excellent game of rugby. And there was just a few points between them. And they came off, they had their sausage and chips, and they were talking about, well, that was a good game, wasn't it? It could have gone either way, you know. And it would have been a hide-in otherwise. You need to use a little bit of common sense for kids.
When's this coming in, Fraser? Do we know?
I believe it's of immediate effect.
Right. And that's boys and girls football across Wales. Yeah.
Funny enough, I was ref my son under 9s.
I'm glad I'm not involved anymore, Fraser.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I have that luxury good. So I was reffing funnily enough, a couple of days after this came in, I was reffing my son under 9s game. It was quite a funny moment. It went 3-0 to the opposition, and their coach said, what do you want to do if we score a fourth? I think the rule should officially kick in then. They didn't, as it happened. But I said, what I'll do is I'll turn to my team and say, why are you losing 4-0? And that'll be the end of it, you know.
I mean, I do think it is part of when you two were younger, you played sport, of course, and you must have been on the end of some big defeats. Can you remember? I mean, I remember my first football team. So I lived in Dorset when I was younger, and we played it was a Cubs football team. And our first year, we had some absolute hide-ins. We lost like 14-0, 11-0, because we were just set up. The following year, we were competitive again. But we did have some really bad defeats. What about the two of you? You must have been involved in some pretty bad results as well. And it is part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely. I remember going down with an awful St. David's club side, about under 15, 16 level, to an incredibly strong Milford Haven side. Nathan Williams, Gully, his era, you know, one of the best sides actually I saw at my age group to come through, and losing 103-0. It was a horrible day. But, you know, you need experiences like that, because otherwise, when you do hit adversity at LA life, you don't have any desire to keep going. And sometimes you have a situation in life where you just have to keep going and keep trying. And we're taking that away now, you know. And when these kids get to 14, 15, especially senior level, you're on players when they're 4-0 down. You know, you can't go 13 against 11. So I just think this has gone too far.
It's just a ridiculous rule, isn't it? Let's be honest. Let's say it.
Gordon,
yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, Gordon, can you raise Fraser's 103-0?
No, I can't actually. I've had a 50 points drubbing at Whitland when I was in school, but we did turn it around a couple of seasons later. So that's exactly what can happen. You know,
well, if anyone else can,
together and see it through together, it's all part of the camaraderie of being part of a team sport. You can't win every time.
Sorry, Ben. If there are people watching who are for this, I would generally be interested in the comments if they could comment below, to be honest with you.
Yeah, let us know. Is it a good idea to be allowing junior football sides to be able to sub on an extra player if the margin of defeat is 4-0, and then an extra player if it goes to 6? Do let us know what you think. Also, if you can tell us about a defeat you've suffered that was as bad as that one that Fraser said, 103-0. I'd love to hear from you on that as well. Tell you what,
so
Tottenham.
What age group is this, Ben? Sorry, what age group are we talking about?
Under 6s to 11s, I think, isn't it, Fraser?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's that age group, which, you know, and I do get you always want to encourage kids of that age to play. I do get that, and it can be hard if you're losing every week, and it can be hard for the coaches, the parents, and the like. But yeah, it does feel like protecting a bit too much from actual defeats as well, and there has to be a balance, doesn't there? There does have to be a balance.
Yeah.
I mean, Tottenham was 6-1 down against Liverpool before Christmas. We could have done with a couple of extra players on the pitch.
Should have done it yesterday.
Ipswich could have done it yesterday as well. Absolutely. Listen, do let us know what you think about that. We would love to hear some comments on that. And, you know, the junior football and rugby scene in particular across Pembrokeshire is a big thing. And we encourage participation. We want numbers to get involved. But is that a good move? We'd like to hear from you. We are going to take a moment and then we'll come back for part 2. And Mel Rawsthorne will be our guest, a Haverfordwest powerlifter who competed for Wales for the first time. And in doing so, achieved an amazing feat, setting a new Welsh deadlift record. We will talk to Mel all about that in just a few moments on tonight's Pure West Sport.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors